Hello, hello. If you are watching live, happy Thursday. We'll let people join here for a second. If you're watching live, happy Thursday, everybody. So glad you are with us. Feel free during this live while we're talking, add your questions, comments in the chat. We are so happy to have you joining us, but really excited today. So we are going to be talking about a new office at Beacon Hill. We are doing an office spotlight. So we are talking about our Houston Technologies office, and we're going to be having Madison Kinley join us. So I will get her added here. Just give me 1 second. We'll see if we can get Maddie in here.
Hey,
Hi.
Kevin.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? Long time no see.
Long no see. Happy day. I hear you've had a pretty busy day.
Yes. I mean, as you know, every day is different, but we're rolling with the punches as always.
That's the world of staffing, right?
Yep, I know. I always tell people don't get too high on the highs, don't get too low on the lows. Everything will be good. So,
It's a wild ride. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Let me give you a quick introduction. So we are lucky enough to get Madison Kinley on our live today. She is recently actually a senior account executive for our Houston Technologies team. I would love for you to talk about that major milestone you hit.
yes.
That's with us since January of 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, so at that time I was living in California. So I've kind of been all over the place, but I started off on the national recruiting team when I first started here. So it's been a long journey, but it's been awesome. So I went from the recruiting chair for the national team. I transitioned into sales for the Dallas team, and then we opened up our new office in Houston. So now I'm fully embedded in Houston, and it's been awesome. And I gained my senior title as well, so it's been awesome.
That is so cool. I mean, what kind of spurred some of those transitions, or how did you even get connected to Beacon Hill?
So I previously was in the staffing industry. I had no clue what the staffing industry was prior. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah, exactly. So I played sports in college, and I went to school out here in Texas, and that's kind of what brought me Texas native, not native, but Texas transplant, I guess everyone calls us. And I went to school out there in San Antonio, and I decided to go to a school job fair. I just wanted to kind of put some feelers out. I knew I was going to move back to California for at least a small amount of time. So I wasn't too sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I kind of put some feelers out. I kind of stumbled upon staffing and I fell in love with it. So I ended up having another conversation with somebody at Beacon Hill. And what really grabbed me towards making the transition was just the company culture. I didn't realize how important that was when I first jumped into Beacon Hill, but it's such a different vibe. It's such a different type of work environment. As you know, I mean, our outings, I mean, everything that we celebrate, big and little. It's so amazing to work for a company that you feel is just celebrates anything. Really, you're not just a number here, which is really nice.
Completely agree. I mean, in my experience, in the experience of my candidates, I think that Beacon Hill really celebrates employees, and we're aiming to be a model for what the workplace should look like. So I love.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Now, with your kind of transition between teams, what has that process been like between finding, was that opportunity presented to you, or was the relocation kind of what drove the change?
A little bit of both. So one thing at Beacon Hill that also is really great to me is that there's room for growth in other areas. So if you want to be, a rockin' recruiter forever and you're carrying your team, you can lead a team like that is it's awesome. There's a lot of great people that all of us know their names who have, really had a footprint here, which is great. But also there's opportunity where I felt like I was a pretty successful recruiter. I even still pick it up, have that that drive to be a recruiter. But I was interested in being a little bit more client facing. I wanted to kind of drive the business a little bit more and be out and about. And I knew so much about.
Looks like Maddie might be paused for a second. Well, we'll give that a second, you guys. Technical difficulties, got to roll with the punches. Now, what I love, kind of what Maddie was saying, is there is so much opportunity with mobility and kind of professional development with Beacon Hill. Looks like we're getting Maddie back in. Give me just a second.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Welcome back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I guess we're in technology, and I always laugh when we have issues with it. But okay, so where did I leave off of? Where did I get disconnected?
Talking a bit about just professional development opportunities with Beacon Hill, and how that transition happened for you.
Okay, yeah. So kind of going back to that, I was more interested in the client facing, and every manager, every director that I had was so open to it. Actually, at the moment that I was kind of invested in, I wanted to jump into sales. There wasn't an option for me to do that just yet. So
Wow.
I was actually here in Houston. I talked to a few of my leaders, one of them being Caleb Freeman in Dallas. And, at the time I was still on the national team, and I said, hey, I'm going to be here in Texas for kind of, the foreseeable future. One, I would love to kind of have more of that office dynamic. And two, because I was working remotely with our national team. And two, I thought there was a lot of need for Houston. There wasn't it's a huge city. There's a lot of opportunity. So I thought that it'd be really great if, I could kind of get that off the ground, whatever that looked like. I just wanted to have a conversation with somebody. So at that time that I was interested in doing it, I actually, again, there wasn't an option for me to move just yet. The pandemic hit. There was just, honestly, looking back at it, everyone was really looking out for my best interest. They didn't want to throw me in an area where, people weren't at the time meeting in person. I wasn't able to kind of really fulfill what I wanted to. They didn't want to give me this false representation of what sales really looked like. So it really was in my best interest to kind of wait. And so when that time did come, I ended up taking the leap, and it's been amazing. I've loved it ever since. So.
Well, and you have, like I said at the beginning, I want to let you brag about yourself for a second. Major milestone, you want to share that?
Yeah, so it's been a wild ride. As a lot of people know in the staffing industry, again, like I said earlier, everything goes up and down. So a lot of, what we base our success on is kind of our milestones and spread, and the money that we're making around it. Everyone is money motivated here, which is great. But again, it did take me a while to kind of grow and see where I could be most successful. And again, kind of going back as a recruiter, I loved recruiting and I was successful. But when I made the step here, just having the opportunity, again, Houston being newer, there's a lot of big accounts. There's a lot of opportunity. So I really I was in a great spot where I kind of just set a wide net, and anyone that talked to me, anyone that would pick up my phone, I would be on the phone with them. So that's kind of what got me to be so successful in, I've been in the sales arena now for about a little over a year. But in that short amount of time, I've really grown, and I've just kind of taken any conversation I can. I really pride myself on following up. That's something that I think is really important, and I think that's just paid off in the long run.
Absolutely. Proven success. The Houston market is there. And what I love is that, there are now murmurings like Beacon Hill, Houston is on the map, and you're a story. And that is what so many people who get to join this office are a part of.
Yes.
The community is there. The team is hungry. And you guys are really crushing it. So congrats on everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Shift a little bit. Thanks for sharing your story. Kind of connected, I would love to hear kind of your impressions. I know it's a newer office, so still
Mhm.
growing and honestly growing quickly. But let's talk. I mean, Houston, as you were saying, I think it's one of the most populated cities in the country.
It is. I don't know if this is accurate, but I think it's, right behind New York, really. It's Houston, if whoever is familiar with Houston, it's very big. So it's it takes 30 minutes to get anywhere. It's not it's not walkable. So but again, with that being said, there's, a lot of great companies, a lot of great we're really surrounded by a lot of oil and gas. I mean, there's a lot of different markets here, but it's really awesome to kind of be on the forefront. But as far as our office goes as a whole, yes, we're still growing, which is so exciting. I have a new director under me or above me, Mike Sanner. He is absolutely amazing. I mean, it just already kind of taking the Beacon Hill dynamic and shifting that for a whole new office has been great. We have two new recruiters, JT and Stacy. JT actually just made his first deal yesterday. I think they've been
No,
on the phones. Yes, I think they've been on the phones for maybe like 2.5 weeks or something like that. So Stacy has one coming right behind her as well, and they're just doing really great. I think it's awesome, and I kind of told them too when they were interviewing with us to come on board is that they can be the forefront of this. This is really exciting to be a part of a new office and hit those milestones from ground zero, really. There's a lot of growth. Your name's on everything once everything kind of starts hitting, different types of milestones. So it's been really great. Our team dynamic is amazing. So we want to keep it that way. We're like,
yeah,
we're very collaborative. We have an office. I'm at home right now, but we have a hybrid schedule. So we're at the office a few days a week in the Greenway Plaza area, which obviously if you're from Houston, you would know, but really great area. It's a little section of a lot of different businesses and tall buildings and things like
yeah,
that. So.
that's awesome. Yeah, I know. And as far as like in general kind of terms of Houston, kind
Mhm.
of maybe downtown, where is that?
So I live downtown. I live kind of close to downtown, which is called like the Midtown area.
Okay.
Um, I actually went, or I'm sorry. So we have an office in Greenway, which is, I'd say it's about 10 minutes from downtown, so it's not too bad. But
Okay.
again, it just depends on where you're at. So if you're on the other side of Houston, it may take you a little bit longer. But we have a huge loop surrounding Houston in general,
Yeah.
and so we it's kind of easy to just hop on the highway and get around there, but it's very easy to get to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And y'all kind of on the ground floor or kind of what's the office a little bit like?
We're on the 11th floor. Lucky number in my mind. I think every time I see 11, I'm like, that's a lucky number. But our view's great. We have, it's a small office right now. We're going to end up growing as
Ah,
we hire more people. We always laugh in the office. We always, whenever we're out by ourselves or we're out getting lunch and we see like a nice new office, like, on the ground level, and it has, we just think of putting Beacon Hill all over it. So it's really awesome just to think, yeah, we're like at one point it's going to be just a dedicated office, which will be so fun. So.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
That I think is really unique is that you're in tech, and I think that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So being a technologies office, how was that learning process for you of like learning what it means to be in tech, even on the sales side of things or the recruiting side of things? What do you think that process is like at Beacon Hill in your experience?
So, and I tell this to everybody, right? I mean, I'm not a tech wizard. I know a lot. I know a lot about tech. I know a lot, right? But there's a lot of nitty gritty stuff that these candidates that we're hiring that are extremely well in they're skilled and they're doing amazing things, right? So at a very higher different level. And our team does a great job at speaking to all of them. I think what helped me when I was first learning about tech and learning about kind of the jargon and the different skill sets and why do they use this, what is this platform actually used for, it was really kind of just came with asking questions. I mean, even when I first started off as recruiting, I would ask the candidates questions on,
Yeah.
hey, you're the expert, tell me how this works. You know, what do you actually use this for? What projects are these around? So that kind of helped me gain a better understanding of why people are using the things that they're using, the right questions to be asking them when we are vetting them out. And then even on the sales side, I mean, now that I go into meetings, I'm learning at such a higher level now, right? When I'm not just looking for the roles, I'm really trying to, you know, really in depthly looking at the projects that they're bringing on. So all of that has transitioned into me asking the right types of questions. And honestly, Google's your best friend. We definitely do a lot of that too. We want to make sure that, you know, we don't sound silly on the phones. We want to be sure that when we are speaking to these people, we're not just picking them up and maybe seeing if they're a fit. We really want to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and what they're doing it for.
Absolutely. And yeah, that kind of training piece and just being willing to learn and kind of absorb as much as you can is not only key in staffing, but I think especially in the technology sector, there's just so much that is even still changing and like new kind of almost, I don't want to say vocabulary, but you know, new things to kind of know that your candidates will be talking about. So
Exactly. Yeah.
provides that support. And speaking of support, another kind of unique experience that you've had is coming into a newer Beacon Hill office. So what I love about the company, just in general with our structure, is, you know, we're spread out throughout the country, and you know, our region in particular in Texas is very supportive among the different offices. So did you feel that support as Houston has been ramping up from, you know, maybe Dallas or Austin or different parts of the region?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Midwest region in general is amazing. We all kind of lean on each other. If I need any help, or, you know, our office as we're growing, if, you know, we're getting bombarded, I could reach out to Austin, I could reach out to Dallas. I do have to say Dallas is an amazing office, right? They're really kind of they're holding the key for us in Austin right now to kind of follow in their footsteps, which we're so excited about. I mean, Mike and Kayla are great leaders over there. Everybody on that team is great. I mean, you have Caleb, you have Peyton, you have, you know, Lauren Freeman. I mean, they're all hitting so many great milestones, and, you know, there's so many people on that team that are hitting President's Club and Top of the Hill, and it's just, it's impressive to me, and I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful that I was able to follow in their footsteps before kind of the Houston office really got off the ground. So, I mean, I can attest to that 100%. I mean, the support that we have and everybody has nationwide is awesome.
And, you know, with how successful you have been, I mean, you are now going to be that person for people in the Houston, and, you know, Mike as well. Both
Yeah.
setting an incredible example, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you are as open and willing to, you know, bring in new employees and just make sure that they can see the same success that you have now found.
Yeah, that's very important. I think one thing we definitely want to hold in the Houston office, and this is kind of, you know, nationwide, it's at Beacon Hill, is we want to be sure that, you know, work is our everyday life, right? As much as we don't want to say that, it is, right? Work-life balance is important, but I think that the difference of that is liking where you work, you know, liking who you work with, liking what you do. There's days, you know, today my head was on a swivel, but I still love my job. You know, there's still a lot of things where I'm like, all right, you know, we just got to get the next one. So just loving where you work, you know, really having a supportive system around you. Everybody wants to see your success. It's not an area where you feel, you know, there's internal competition. Everyone wants to get a deal, right? But everyone's also high-fiving each other when the other person gets it. So it's not something where you feel like, oh gosh, this person's doing this, I need to do this. Everyone's on their own kind of path. Everyone has their own different success and different ways that they like to work, which is awesome.
Yeah. And that's the best part about staffing, right? I mean, one strategy is not necessarily the only strategy.
Yes.
And so being able to find your own personal, you know, successes and really personal strengths, maybe even specialties in certain jobs that you work with, or if you're on the sales side of things, there's certain clients that you really like to target. I like that not only staffing, but specifically Beacon Hill has the kind of ability for you to explore and find that for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Well, I want to make sure, I mean, you are clearly busy and crushing it in market. I want to wrap up and respect your time, but I do would love to hear just from your perspective, especially with your tenure at Beacon Hill and the amount of success you've seen. What is one or two top tips that you think either you wish you had known when you were starting, or that you just would recommend for somebody either coming into the Houston office or staffing in general?
Yeah, I think, and I feel like I did an okay job at this when I first started, but I think I wish I would have done it more, and this kind of pertains to just your colleagues and who you're working with and your managers, ask questions. There's
Yeah.
no silly question. And I really, really fully believe in that. If any of my recruiters come to me and they're like, oh, this might be a silly question. I'm like, nope. I'm like, revert it back. There's no silly question. So obviously, where everybody that works here is so friendly, so smart. And if there's a question, I bet you 10 other people probably have the same thing. So I think assuming that you're doing the right thing, or you're assuming that this is the right answer, can actually get you more so in trouble. So I think that, and not in trouble in like a bad way, but it just more so, you want to be successful, ask the questions while you're getting off the ground, and then you'll know what to do kind of later on. So I think that's definitely my biggest advice.
Oh, thank you. I love to hear that. Well, thank you so much for your time. And really, I'm so impressed by what the Houston team is already accomplishing in such a short period of time.
I know, it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for the example, not only that you're setting in Houston, but at Beacon Hill as a whole. I mean, I'm so excited to see where you go and how much you grow, and the future candidates that might be watching this right now.
Yes. Come work for us.
Yeah, incredible resource for them, you and the entire Houston team. So thank you so much for everything you do for the company, and I'm wishing you even more continued success.
Thank you, Kevin. I hope to see you soon.
I will see you soon.
Yes, we will see each other soon.
And for everybody who joined us today, thank you so much. I mean, it takes a lot to learn a lot of different things about a company, and especially to get some one-on-one time with somebody like Madison is such an incredible resource. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day, and stay well.
Bye, guys.
Bye.